Okay, brothers and sisters out there, I want to discuss reasons why Muhammad was not a prophet. The better term for it could be called he was a false prophet, but he wasn't just a false prophet, but he was a pedophile. You guys can study this in, it's actually in the own Muslim documents that he married, he married a 9-year-old, but he picked her up when she was 6 years old. It even says that she was still playing Barbies in the park. He picked her up at 6 years old, and then he had sexual intercourse with her at the age of 9. And he said the reason why he did this was because Allah told him to do it. No, sorry. God would never do such a thing. And by the way, Allah is man-made. It's the pagan, okay? It's paganism. It means the moon. And in Hebrew, that word Allah actually means curse. I'm going to do another video on that afterwards. I'm going to give quotes from the Quran. But anyways, let's get into this about Muhammad. Okay, the simple reasons that Muhammad was not a prophet. Okay, I'm a follower of Christ. I believe Muhammad was a false prophet because, why? All the other prophets spoke to God directly. No angels needed, but Muhammad didn't. All the other prophets were able to read and write, but Muhammad was, he wasn't able to read or write. None of the other prophets tried to create and introduce different religions, but Muhammad founded of Islam. It's founded upon a man. None of the other prophets changed God's law, but Muhammad did. Yeah, exactly. Example, the true said, "Thou shalt never lie," but Muhammad said, "For the cause of Allah, you can lie." The true God said, "Thou shalt not kill," but Muhammad himself was a killer. The true God said, "Thou shalt not covet other wives," but Muhammad did. True God says, "Pray for Israel," but Muhammad said, "Kill Jews and Christians." Other prophets call God the God of truth, but Muhammad calls God the great deceiver. Imagine saying that. It says it right in their own Quran. It says that Allah is the greatest deceiver. Now, you tell me, how can you trust in somebody that has the ability of lying? You don't know if he's lying or if he's not lying. The greatest deceiver? I wonder who that is. What did Jesus say? You are of your father, the devil. For whenever he speaks a lie, he's doing what's natural to him. For there is no truth in him. For he's the father and the father of all lies. So who's the great deceiver? Satan. So that should tell you who these people are serving. And it is exactly that. It is Satan. And there's all kinds of demonic writings in the Quran and all kinds of stuff. But anyways, let's continue here. When Gabriel spoke to Mary, she was scared at first, but Gabriel confronted her when, listen to this. This is all demonic right here about Muhammad. Muhammad claimed to speak to Gabriel. He ran away, screaming, "Cover me," and became suicidal because Muhammad was epileptic, like he's having seizures, you know? He had epileptic attacks, but when went home, then his wife convinced him to believe that it was an angel. Without 2 male witnesses, people believed Muhammad was a prophet. Isn't that sad? Dear readers, let's clear to you all that there is no Allah, but was Muhammad made was himself acting like Allah by putting that name in his pocket. No Muslim can deny this fact. If anyone got courage or knowledge, then most welcome. Yeah. You know what it says in the Quran? I'm going to tell you. It's a self-contradicting book, but yet they believe it for some reason. Because there's one verse in the Quran that says, "Do not fight anybody unless you have to defend yourself." And then another chapter in the Quran, it says to kill the infidel. Doesn't make any sense, does it? One passage says something else, and another passage says the totally opposite. Something's quite not right here, is it? And Muhammad had epileptic seizures, you know why? Because he was experiencing a demon. That was an evil spirit. For God is not the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. So he had those manifestations that he was having was demonic possession. You know, people that follow him are following after Satan. But anyways, this is what it says in the Quran. Do not take Jews and Christians as friends. Besiege them. Set before them ambush. Slay the idolater, all non-Muslims. And yet, for some reason, this world thinks that Islam is a religion of peace. But it is not of peace at all. Not one zip. And even today in Lebanon or whatever you want to call it, Palestine, but there's no such thing as a Palestinian state. There never was and never will be. But they're marrying 7-year-old brides, 50-year-old men. They're still doing the same old stuff. But let me read this to you guys here. Look what the Apostle Paul had to say here. Let me go to this verse right here. And this is exactly what happened. Look at this. Paul warning 600 years in advance. Okay, let me start from John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Satan was not going to just give up after this. Paul knew that he also knew that Satan had the ability to come as an angel. He warned us 600 years in advance. For if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preach, or if you receive a different spirit from the spirit you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it eagerly enough. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 4. But even we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let them be under God's curse. Galatians chapter 1 verse 7. And no wonder, for Satan himself manifests as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 14. 600 years later, an angel showed to Mohammed, the prophet of Islam. This angel was preaching another gospel. He was preaching another Jesus, a Jesus that didn't die for your sins, just as Paul said it would. This act of a curse, listen to this, a curse. The Hebrew word for curse is Allah. Therefore, the curse, Allah, has devoted the earth. Yeah. And now I want to give you some scriptures from the Quran here. What it says in their own Quran. But yet, people, it's just disgusting what people say about Islam. Okay, here it is right here. Look at this. It's in the Quran. Quran chapter 8 verse 12. Go look it up on Google. Quran chapter 8, 12. What's it say? I will instill terror into the hearts of the unbelievers. Look at this. Smite ye above their necks, and smite all their fingertips off. And then Quran chapter 47, verse 4. What does it say? Therefore, when you meet the unbelievers, strike off their heads at length. Then when you have made wide slaughter among them, carefully tip off the remaining captives. Yeah, that is right there in their own book. That's demonically inspired by Satan himself. These people, I'm telling you, these people are following a pedophile. Because Muhammad was a pedophile. He had sex with a 9-year-old girl when he was like 50 years old. And like so many other things. It's like he married his stepson's daughter because he found her attractive looking. And so, because he didn't want to make it look that way, he had to come up and say, oh, Allah told me to marry her. Yeah, right. It's called, you are a sick pervert, a sex pervert, and that's exactly what they are. And it even says in the Quran about women that they're nothing but sex slaves and so on, to abuse them, and there's just so many other things. It's just disgusting. Anyways, I just need to come out here and expose these liars for who they really are, and who they're really following is Satan. Just look what they're doing around the world. What's the Bible say? He's roaring around like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. Islamic people are devouring people. They're killing people. And so on. They're sick perverts. That's all that they are. They're just disgusting of what they're doing. They're deceived. They're following after Satan. They're walking in darkness, and yet they think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. And yet the Quran does contradict itself, big time. But anyways, I'm signing off. This is all I gotta say, and may God bless you all.